Hello everyone, it's Ometer, and here I'm going to walk you through a start to finish of my gift tags for 2017 Christmas. I went ahead and used the Concord and Nice Sophisticated Script stamp set and also the tree ring background stamp set to start with. I did speed this video up a little bit, but this actual tag took me about 12 minutes to finish from start to finish, but I did do everything assembly line style, where I cut everything, stamped everything, one thing at a time all together, so it was easier to later at the end just go ahead and assemble the tags for this Christmas. Now I went ahead and stamped it on heavyweight cardstock. This is ivory cardstock with Memento cocoa ink. And I went ahead and cut the 8.5 by 11 sheet into 5.5 by 8.25. So I was able to get 2 of these pieces per paper. And then I was able to put 2 tree rings on each piece of paper. I went ahead and stamped it 3 times to give it that rich cocoa ink. I know I could have used black, but I wanted to give it that rich, deep bark color to my tree rings. I can't remember how many in total I made of these, but I sped this video up, like I said, it took about 13 minutes per one assembling, and this is stamping from the beginning to the end. All of the others were done assembly line style. Now, since this stamp set does not have a coordinating die, I went ahead and just cut it out with my Martha Stewart Teflon scissors, which I think are no longer available, but I absolutely love these. I went ahead and cut it with about, I think it was like an 1/8 or a 1/9 inch space at the edge, just because I tried to cut it right along the border, but since it has that jagged edge being tree bark, it wasn't that easy. So I went ahead and just left it with a border, but once I stain it, it worked out perfectly, so I was not worried about it. And this did actually go pretty easy, pretty quickly with my scissors. Now I went ahead and brought in the Ranger Tim Holtz walnut distress ink to stain the outside, the borders, with just a simple round distressing tool. And I went ahead and went around the entire area, the border, to make it darker on the edges, and then I just smoothed it out going into the center. I left the center part lighter because in all wood slices that you find at the store or that you have cut up for Christmas, the center part is always lighter because that's on the inner part of the tree, hence, it doesn't get as darker like the outsides. Went ahead with a distressing tool and just worked on the edges just to make sure I got that edge covered completely, since this is ivory colored cardstock. But that was simple. I then went ahead and just heat set it with my heat tool. Now, I heat set this one, but all of the other ones were actually just left overnight to dry completely. I completely just left them because I was falling asleep. So I went ahead and heat set this one so it was much easier and quicker, and the stain wouldn't get on everything else. Now, here are some ovals that I cut, and they are 2.5 inch by almost 3 inches. I went ahead and cut this on my Silhouette Cameo. I don't have any oval dies at the moment, so I just found this easier. I didn't do a circle. I went ahead and did oval. I want it to look like the wood chips that have the chalkboard paint on them when you paint it all black and everything. That was my inspiration for that from Pinterest, of course. But I went ahead and just figured I would just, instead of actually painting them, just go ahead and cut some black ink. Now I'm going to demonstrate one of the simpler tags. This is Mom. This is going to say Mom. I went ahead and got my acrylic block, and I placed the M on one side and then the O on the opposite side. This only has 3 letters, so it was much easier to do. Demonstration wise, it was easier this way, and I'm able to ink them with Versamark Fine Versamark, I will get it eventually, ink, to be able to use white embossing powder. Now, if you saw, I went ahead and stamped it off a couple of times because sometimes when you use your stamp or haven't used it in a while, it may not pick up the ink right away. And I almost forgot my EK Success distressing tool. Just put a little bit of that powder on there so I don't make that much of a mess, even though heat set just a powder is just not my friend all the time. So I went ahead and just you can actually see it gets darker where the M is, the O is. So all you have to do is really connect them or overlap them just a little bit to be able to get that fine connection to make it look like it's an actual script name. I try to use several different things. I did try several different things in my arsenal, and this is the one that gave me the better look to it. And this is white opaque Stampendous ultra detail ink. just go ahead and just like any heat embossed powder, just go ahead and I did it twice, shake off the excess, and I then brought in my heat. I did take a small brush to kind of clear off the extra parts, because no matter what, I feel like it always gets it gets embossing powder where I don't want it. Now, if you notice, I just keep moving the sheets of paper behind. These are all scrap papers from, you know, previous projects and whatnot. But of course, it's always important to let your heat tool heat up before you go ahead and go for the embossing, heat embossing. As you can see here, it gets darker, it gets richer as the little bits and particles are melting. I went ahead and left the names in the middle because I want it to look like it started out that way and then we just layered stuff on top of it. Because had I done it all towards the bottom, I think it would have been obvious. And I like how some of the mistletoe actually covers my tag. I went ahead and then once you have it embossed and everything, it looks perfect, but I wanted to go a little bit more. And I use these distinctively dies, and this is IME 169 Mistletoe Large. They do come in 2 sizes, but I wanted to use this larger one. Now it does come with the little die, you see the little block at the top that cuts the little berries, the white berries, but I went ahead and wanted to do it dimensional. I take this, it cuts 3 different ones, and it cuts this larger one and 2 of the smaller ones for each die. But I went ahead and used my Tacky glue, and in case you want to know, I do get these tips from Amazon. It's the Scraperfect no clog tips, which I absolutely love. And they just go, you just screw them right onto the bottle. You don't have to pour glue into a tiny bottle. I hate doing that. So here I am just taking the pair of scissors and I'm curving the tips of the mistletoe leaves, so it kind of gives it more of a dimensional look. And this is how fine you can see how fine the glue comes out of this tip. And I only put glue on the stems and on the top tips of the leaves, so the edges of the leaves are able to stand out, to be bent outwards. On most of them, I did put at least 2 of these little branches of mistletoe because I love mistletoe, even though I live in the desert and we don't naturally have mistletoe. I've had to order it on eBay. I know, crazy, right? So here I'm just going ahead and putting some ink once again on these as well after I bent the edges of the leaves. And this tacky glue, it used to be Scotch Quick Dry, now it's Scotch Tacky Glue. It dries perfectly. It gives it a few moments and then it's perfect. It dries clear also. Go ahead with my crocodile and just cut the hole in it, punch a hole in it. I use this May Arts jute twine. This is fine twine. It's so hard to find the ivory one. This is the natural color, which I think you're still able to find, but I think it comes in like 400 feet or something absurd like that. It's so much twine. Trust me, you'll have twine for quite some time. Just go ahead and loop it through, tie a knot, and that gives my tag. I leave my tag open because I don't know what I'm going to put it on. Now, this is Nuvo Crystal Drops, and they are in Simply White, to give me that look of mistletoe berries. Now, what I've learned from the first batch of these tags that I made is to place the berries on the green or on the black part of the cardstock, because if you place it over the part that is stained, even though it's dried and everything, it'll pick up that color. I have one tag with one of the berries is brown, so it just looks like the berry is, you know, old. But hey, here is the full step. I hope you guys like it. Thank you again for watching my channel and watching my website. Thank you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Merry Christmas to all of you, and I hope you all have a happy holidays.